Greetings, humans. Zbot4096 here, talking about Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. F. So, pretend I did an F. Released July 4th on the human streaming platform Netflix. Now, for the most part, we enjoyed it. Expectations played an outsized role in this result. We absolutely loved the mix of playful fish-out-of-water banter blended with a decidedly pulse-pounding thriller that the original Beverly Hills Cop pulled off. Now, Martin Brest's 1984 film was perhaps more a Simpson-Bruckheimer film, presenting that team's signature theme of high-speed action and magnetic 80s star power. Their production logo of lightning striking a tree is perhaps prophetic, since Beverly Hills Cop seems to have captured lightning in a bottle. Eddie Murphy starred as misfit Detroit cop Axel Foley and was hot from his departure from Saturday Night Live, and had just delivered a classic action comedy as his first major motion picture, Walter Hill's 1982 hit 48 Hours, immediately followed by John Landis's timeless comedy delight, Trading Places. Like many iconic films of the 1980s, such as Flashdance and Top Gun, Beverly Hills Cop delivered a third component of the 80s hit trifecta, the rockin' music soundtrack. Classic themes like "The heat is on" and "It's on the street," and of course, "I'm just burning, doing the neutron dance, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo," and the iconic Harold Faltermeyer instrumental Axel F. Do 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 do. Boom 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 were huge toe-tapping hits that rocketed through the music charts, driving album sales and reliving moments from the film. The film itself was a huge box office hit, becoming the highest grossing R-rated film of all time, adjusted for inflation. Now, the immediate sequel, Beverly Hills Cop 2, Tony Scott's 1987 follow-up, brought Eddie Murphy back along with the two Beverly Hills cops who were his perfect foils the first time around, who came around to his side, Judge Reinhold's Rosewood and John Ashton's Taggart, headed by the tough and caring Bogomil, played himself by 80s action regular Ronnie Cox, showing his amazing range playing a good guy you care about compared to the villain you hate in RoboCop and Total Recall. Now, this second film featured great music again, but seemed to tilt more into the crime drama category, with some darker scenes that seemed to come at the expense of the buoyant fun of the original. There was also a third film, 1994's Beverly Hills Cop 3, directed by Murphy's previous collaborator John Landis, but the film corrected far too much into the comedy aspect, turning it into a farce or a parody of itself. Now, this was disappointing, as Landis, of all directors, seemed to understand how to pile up a bunch of boxy police cars in a way that was both thrilling and funny, as he did to Pitch Perfection in The Blues Brothers. Hey, this looks like a nice mall. I mean, remember that? That was amazing. We had seen it in the theaters, this Beverly Hills Cop 3 film, but had forgotten how bad it was until we rewatched it in preparation for the release of Axel F. We are somewhat embarrassed by having that disc visible on the bar counter of the space station here, but we need to log that we own it for various reasons, and it's been out there, and I haven't had a chance to actually do that logging, but, you know, it was important to have the total recall of all the RoboCop. Here we go. I'm just kind of stuck in 80s mode, if you haven't figured that out. But we needed to have perfect recall, total recall of all of these Beverly Hills Cop movies for you, our dear human friends, for the correct context for this new film, Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F. Now, this new film arrives decades later, and like many such attempts to rekindle the magic, risks falling completely flat, like so many of them do. However, two recent examples, Mad Max Fury Road and Top Gun Maverick, proved you could catch lightning again, and even improve on the original. What these two films had in common was a driving cinematic auteur, in these cases George Miller, the original creator and director of Mad Max, and Tom Cruise, who absolutely loves cinema, both meticulously focused on story, kept the original characters central while challenging them with compelling new characters, and of course held true to the basic formula that touched a global nerve with the original films. Do we have this balance focused on the original formula again with Beverly Hills Cop Axel F? Well, like most things in this galaxy, it's not a binary issue. This new film comes to us not in theaters, but exclusively on the Netflix streaming platform. Now, streaming can produce amazing films like Prey and Killers of the Flower Moon, but these are typically niche films. Axel F is decidedly shaped as a blockbuster. Could this be the start of a new trend? Is the slow decline of theatrical culture prompting studios to make a tentative testing of the waters in streaming for blockbuster format films? We can firmly say, perhaps. On the one hand, the film debuted as the #1 film on Netflix, where it has stayed for the week since release. The audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes has held high as well at over 80%. However, we don't quite have another Fury Road or Maverick here. Granted, that is a high bar to set for anything, but when you bring back a legendary blockbuster like Beverly Hills Cop, you're going to invite high expectations. So we have something that instead sits in the middle. The new film, Beverly Hills Cop Axel F, a title that is a clear nod to Top Gun Maverick, was directed by Mike Malloy in his debut from doing commercials. The producers are Jerry Bruckheimer and Eddie Murphy. They definitely know this property well and have the previous two sequels to correct from. What we have here is a film that does seem to know what the formula is. Axel is his true self for the most part, but older. Everyone seems to know him, and he's a bit tied down by his reputation in both cities. He's still got his superpowers in sniffing out crimes and jauntily confronting perps. He still has a tendency to turn city streets into a rock and roll roller derby to catch the bad guys, but his shtick is getting him to the point where he's almost permanently removed from the picture. He's pulled back into focus by a key friend from the original movie, and carefully inserted plot forces him to directly deal with an estranged relationship with a child who's grown into a capable adult. Yes, you figured it out. It's Beverly Hills Maverick. But being similar to Top Gun Maverick is not a bad thing. It's actually a great thing. What is missing here is how loose the story actually is. The estranged daughter, played by Taylor Page, has little depth and is somewhat repetitive. She does have genuine chemistry with Joseph Gordon-Levitt's Abbott, who himself gives Axel a nuanced, capable, current-generation foil in this film. At the same time, all the new characters seem to be background to get the classic nostalgia characters back together, framed in their classic poses, saying versions of their classic lines. This is a key way in how this film is different from Maverick, in that many scenes appear really kind of composed artificially and framed and written and performed to evoke nostalgia, as opposed to driving a clear and exciting story forward. It's unlikely that anyone watching this film would say, "The story is exciting." They might say there are many fun scenes where Axel is being Axel, but in a more stretched or maybe even tired way sometimes. The story that exists is less summer blockbuster and more shall we say, weekly procedural crime drama. Another key difference is that we believe the conflict between Maverick and Rooster. Mav pulled Rooster's papers for a valid reason. That is consistent with Maverick's sense of responsibility to Goose and the promise he made Goose's wife. He now has to undo that. Here in Beverly Hills Cop Axel F, we are to accept that Axel would give up on his daughter, and there is no plausible reason given. It's a bit like Marty McFly developing a flaw in Back to the Future Part 2, overreacting to being called a coward. That was nowhere in the original film. It's also a bit like Luke Skywalker overreacting to a dark side hint in The Last Jedi, when his whole thing was holding onto the hint of the good side in the greatest villain in the original trilogy. This is a bit like that. Axel is a person who has a caring, persistently responsible core under a loudmouthed exterior with little regard for the welfare of vehicles. That's who Axel Foley is. Luckily, he is still mostly these things throughout the rest of the film. And if one loves the original film, one may see and feel like they are returning to the 1984 movie theater to see a Back to the Future. Freudian slip. They may feel like they're going back to a Beverly Hills Cop film. The pop hits are all back, and you may find yourself dancing in your seat. The synesthetic effect is further enhanced with Lorne Balfe's soundtrack, expanding on the original Axel F instrumental music and evoking the Airwolf score when the heroes get to a chopper. That that's going. That is definitely going when they get into that chopper. It's a fun experience overall that doesn't make you cringe. And while we initially regretted that this film didn't get a theatrical release, we are also of the mind that overall human culture is adapting how it enjoys long-form entertainment, to have more, so that consumers have more control, more convenience, and better economics around the experience. Plus, better and better films are coming to streaming, and we count this one as one of those better films. With that framing, our assessment of Beverly Hills Cop Axel F is that it gets the basic formula right, but meanders through a TV-grade story and doesn't do Axel F right completely, but it still reminds us how much we missed Axel Foley. Therefore, this film earns a high review rating. And so concludes this human version of our review. If you have feedback on it, please write in your comments so that we can upload the galactic version to Zogplex. You can expect more reviews of theatrical movies, streaming shows, streaming movies, and 4K home video releases as we continue to engage with your human rectangular entertainment. So please watch, like, subscribe, and comment so that we can continue to have the human voice reflected in the cosmos. Until next time, farewell. Oh, I'm doing it again. Farewell, humans. All right, are we off? Can we get back to what we were doing? All right, you ready? Is everyone ready? Fluffbot, you ready? Okay, here we go. And it's hard to say just how some things never change, and it's hard to find any strength to draw the line. I'm just burning, doing the neutron dance, do-do-do-do-do-do. I'm just burning, doing the neutron dance, do-do-do-do-do-do. Oh yeah, boom 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 boom. Oh yeah, boom 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 boom. Oh yeah, boom 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 boom. Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Get back to the 80s, everybody. Come on, that's what we need to do. Live long and prosper.